Hi, and welcome to the 91 Day Business Spotlight Live. I'm your host, Jonathan, and today I'm thrilled to have with me Michelle Steffes from IPV Consulting. Michelle and I have known each other for many, many years, but Michelle, as we were talking kind of in the pre show here, we've not talked in, I think it's been years just because of busy schedules and all that. So it's so great to have you join me today. I'm excited. Can you tell everybody a little bit about IPV and the coaching and the consulting that you do? And hey, just tell us about your business.
Oh, well, first, thank you so much, Jonathan, for reaching out and inviting me to be a part of this. I appreciate it. And I love what you're doing, giving back to the community. You've always been that way. I just remember you being that way from the very beginning. So congratulations on all of what you're doing as well.
Well,
So,
thank you.
yeah, you're welcome. IPV has been around now over a decade, actually. We're going into our 12th year and started this whole thing with integrity, people, and vision being at the center, which is the reason for the IPV. Those are the three most important components in any business endeavor. And that's exactly what we base everything we do on. So IPV is a conglomerate of people that I work with, but primarily in the field of corporate training and speaking. I have moderators that come on for the virtual corporate training piece. There's a lot of interaction that goes on. I work with a lot of great groups of leaders, primarily in terms of the corporate training piece. We've got so many different programs based in emotional intelligence and neuropsychology, working on things from emotional intelligence, such as the IT factor,
Mhm.
high performance, velvet covered steel, which is basically creating some semblance of resilience, not only internally, but externally. Because when we're talking about emotional intelligence and resiliency, it's 50% of what's in you and 50% what goes on around you. And they both play a role in not only determining how you function and succeed as a person, but even as a leader and as a culture. Because when we begin to look at that through those eyes, we realize as leaders that it's our job to put something out there that people can not only trust, but they can grab onto and feel like you're caring for them in a way that makes them loyal and committed to the vision for your company. And so we teach a lot of different ways that leaders can work on team accountability, hold tough conversations. My IPV leadership mastery course has 12 sessions altogether around these types of topics, and I've been very successful working with some bigger names such as U.S. Foods leadership. I've done some work with Consumers Energy, and I could name others. But the point of the matter is that when you go to work with your teams, I would encourage you to think about a people first mentality and heart centered leadership and what it takes to get there. Now, having said all that about my corporate training, speaking, I have many topics that are kind of around that same field. So we can talk about resiliency. I do keynote addresses. My most popular one over the COVID time was resilience in times of change. Imagine that.
Mm. Imagine that.
Because we've been through a world of change, haven't we, Jonathan?
We sure have.
It's been tumultuous for a lot of people. We've all had to pivot in many ways, and we've had to learn how to reframe and rewire in so many different ways. Neuroplasticity is the foundation also behind bringing about the change and helping people to understand how they can literally rewire from the inside out. And so I speak a lot about the brain and the heart. And if you'll indulge me a moment, I'm going to share a little bit
Sure.
on that. All right,
Oh, please
awesome.
do.
So you have 100 billion neurons in your brain you have since you were born. And since that day to now, you have constantly been surrounded by influences. So everything from friends, education, turmoil that you may have been through, all of the belief systems and value systems that you've adopted along the way, even career and skills and the things, everything from tying your shoe to learning how to, be a rocket scientist or whatever it is that you excel in. And with all of those, you've created neural pathways that turn into neural networks. So you have a network for driving, you have a network for, your daily routine, you have a network for your leadership skills. And all of these networks then become how you see the world around you. So when you understand it from that perception, what that does for you is gives you the ability to understand, hey, I can actually wire myself towards my vision, towards my goals. Because the cool thing is there's something that's called neural pruning, and your brain is constantly doing it. So basically, you have lots of neurons or pathways on the neuron. And if you choose to let go of things and replace them with other thoughts or better thoughts, those old pathways will literally fall off. and you can rewire and start to grow new neural networks. And this is happening all through life. So when I work with leaders and I work and from the stage speaking to people, I share insights like this and then attach it to applicable principles that they can walk away and start to form a new map or a new roadway out of the jungle of their life by changing the habits of their day. So
Well, I love that.
so if you're constantly, say, getting up at the last minute, hitting the snooze button too long, and you're in a stress bath all morning, and you're all frazzled by the time you get to work, how well are you going to be able to function and be productive? Whereas if you decide, okay, look, I'm going to bump up my bedtime by my awake time by maybe 15 minutes, and I'm going to get up and I'm going to center myself. I'm going to read, I'm going to exercise, whatever it is that you want to do to make sure that you're ready to focus and move through that morning with a sense of control rather than out of control. And that's just one example of many, many habits that we talk about, because for leaders, it's what you do from the second you wake up in the morning till you close your eyes at night that are going to make or break you. But that's even true of the individual. The mind habits you have and the daily habits you have are forming your future. If you change your habits, you change your future. Now, I also want to mention that as an individual, I'm also an executive coach. I'm a performance coach. So I have very put together programs that have a lot of tools that are comprehensive that you can utilize to reform your whole vision and align 5 goals to that vision that will transform the person you are at the other end. And it's through the daily change of routine development. And that is something that not a lot of people think about or talk about. In fact, Atomic Habits is one of the books that I recommend if that's something you want to learn a little bit more about. But also, and I know we're short for time, I want to mention the books that I've written on the topic, and that is Reframe and Rewire. Imagine that, right? Greatness
Great book.
Daily Routine. And then I've also written for ages 7 to 14, The Machine Inside Me, How to Change Your Brain and discover the power within you. And this one, I had some help with an illustrator that I highly recommend. It's Rob Rice with Rob Rice Illustrations. And he did an absolutely phenomenal job of creating these little characters in the book. In fact, we've even labeled the neurochemicals by cute names that the kids could understand. And
I love it.
So instead of cortisol, we have cort. Instead of dopamine, we have dopey. And they get to learn not only how those neurochemicals that are released at the neural connection level, how those affect you in the way you feel, the way you think, and your ability to perform. So there's a lot to this, and I know I kind of covered an awful lot in a short amount of time. But what I want the audience to understand the most is that you're never stuck. That no matter where you are or how you feel, or if you feel like you're in a situation that you've just got to do something different and you don't know where to begin, it all starts from the inside out. And so starting to identify where the sticking points are, and starting to identify what changes need to occur, and then how to align those habits and create new goals to achieve those habits is how you're going to get there. And it's not the big things that you do every day, but the littlest things that are going to make the biggest difference long term. I hope that all made sense.
It makes tons of sense. And there's so many thoughts that are coming to mind, Michelle, and hearing what you've got to say. First of all, amazing information. It reminds me so much of just a common saying that I think as leaders, we sometimes forget, and that it's not what happens to you, it's about what you make of what happens to you. But you're doing such a deeper dive into that and really talking about how to develop the skills and the training to get through that. And I think sometimes as leaders, we go, I should have that. I shouldn't need any training. But in reality, the best sports figures we know, the best of everybody we know, they have coaches. Even the pros that we watch on Sunday, they've all got coaches they're working with. And as leaders, we need coaches as well, because we can learn those tactics that you're talking about to improve not only our lives, but the leadership that we can provide, and then the lives of those around us. So yeah, I could unpack this for a long time. Great stuff. We've got a couple minutes left. Talk to me a little bit to the audience. Who is a great customer for you? In other words, in just a minute, I'm going to ask you to share how to get in touch with you and all that. But who should be thinking, wow, Michelle, we should have a conversation? Who would you like to talk to? Where can you add the most value?
Well, I think because of the topic, and I appreciate you asking. Thank you, Jonathan. The topics that we offer with the resiliency and emotional intelligence, so forth, cover a broad number of genre. So, what I would say is anyone looking for a different style of keynote, where they want to have somebody come up on stage and talk about the internal as well as the external and how to produce that change or that shift, and that also anyone looking for individual coaching, and then of course a company that feels like your culture is in disarray, because that's
Mm,
what my expertise is, to bringing a culture together.
I love that. I love that. So if anybody that fits any of that's listening and they go, wow, we really need to have it. What's it look like when somebody begins an engagement with you? I mean, some of us maybe haven't dealt with a coach before. Maybe we're not sure how to reach out. What's what can they expect if they reach out? What's the next steps they should expect, Michelle?
Well, all they have to do is reach out. I can even send them a calendar link, or they can go online to ipvconsulting.com and grab that contact form, and then I will get a direct message. The calendar link is in there as well. And they can schedule a 30-minute intro or a 1 hour strategy session. There's no cost to it. We can just have some virtual coffee together, discuss goals for 2024 and beyond, and see if it's a good fit.
Well, that's amazing. What an incredible offer. Thank you for that. That's great. So just ipvconsulting.com, fill out the calendar request to the form and you'll be back in touch. That's amazing. Is it the same for speaking when somebody's looking for that unique keynote speaker, looking to find out what you can offer there, to do the same thing?
Yes, I get a flood of requests for speakers, in that contact form. So feel free to go again to that website and you can fill out the contact form, and I'll be in touch with you to address your needs. And everything is always customized. I never do anything cookie cutter, be it coaching, corporate training, speaking. It's always customized.
I love that. Well, in the last few minutes that we've got, I'm going to ask you what your crystal ball looks like. I know mine is cracked and cloudy, so it's not always really good. But as you look into 2024, as an executive coach and a speaker that's doing this, what are the things that you would encourage leaders to be looking at in 2024 in order to improve their game and to walk out of 2024 improved and doing a better job than they're doing today?
Well, I'm really glad you asked that question, because coming off of the whole COVID, the last 3 years, and all the trials that people have faced, I would say the number one concern for yourself and your team is mental health. And some
Mm.
people don't like to use that term. So you can look at it as greater resiliency or a stronger state of mind. However, you want to look at it, that should be your number one priority. Because when you have strong people, you've got a strong culture. And if when you're a strong leader, it will reflect back to you.
Great advice. Great advice. Well, Michelle, I want to thank you so much for joining us. And it's been great to connect. We're going to definitely have to do one of those virtual coffees. It's been years since we sat down and went over that. And I thank you for your time. I also want to thank everybody that's joining us on the live stream. Thank you for joining us. And I want to encourage you. I've known Michelle for many, many years, even though we don't talk a lot. Michelle's got a great reputation. She's a great woman of character. If you have a need for leadership development, for leadership consulting, or you just want to talk to somebody to find out if it's good for you and your organization, I encourage you, reach out and talk to Michelle. Have that conversation. It doesn't hurt. So thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Make it a great day, and we'll see you soon.